So what is the best digital mauler? Well, watch this video and you'll find out. Hey guys, I'm Dr. McFarland and welcome back to the channel. It is 2020 and after a long hiatus of working on projects here in the studio, I'm finally getting back into making some videos. So what I wanted to do this week is add another video to my Doc Talk series, which is just me in front of a camera talking about a certain topic. And I've been getting a lot of questions and seeing a lot of comments online about all these new digital maulers coming out and which one is the best. And so I wanted to give you my 2 cents on that and just kind of start a discussion down in the comments section of what you thought was the best digital mauler. So I'm going to start this whole conversation by saying this one thing. It all comes down to personal preference. So I get really irritated when I see all these comments by people online, especially in the Facebook groups, going, oh, I have the best digital mauler because it has these features and this workflow and whatever else. And that's perfectly fine. But what you don't understand is if you go to another group, you're going to find similar people saying similar things about their digital mauler. Then if you go to a third group, you're going to find people saying the exact same thing about their mauler that they paid hard-earned money for. And then the fourth group, fifth group, sixth group, all the different groups are going to have the same kind of comments. So I'm going to give you a list of things that you need to look for when you're choosing a digital mauler. And once you check off all those boxes, then that is going to be the best digital mauler for you. It may not be for everybody else, but if that's the one you like, then that is the best digital mauler for your situation. So let's go ahead and check out some options here. So the first thing I want to look at is the user interface. And in 2020, there's a lot of different options. So what I mean by user interface is basically the way the screen looks, how the knobs work on the device. Does it have a touch screen? Does it have like a push and turn kind of functionality? And the way these digital maulers are set up is you basically have your categories of like amp, cab, effects, impulse responses, and you're able to go into each one of those categories, choose the amp you like, choose the kind of cab, the microphone, maybe you want a certain kind of overdrive or distortion. Let's add some delay and reverb in there. You know, how you get to those things are all about the user interface. And I've used quite a few here in the last few years. Anything from the headrush to the Boss effects to even some of the Line 6 products. And they all work really well. They have very similar styles of layout to where you can get to all your different amps and effects pretty easily and fairly quickly. So just keep that in mind when you're looking for your first digital mauler, or maybe you already have one and you're looking off to other places trying to find what the competition is doing, and just really analyze your mauler. And if it has a good user interface where you can get to everything quick and easy, then you should be good. Number 2 is going to be the workflow. And user interface and workflow kind of go hand in hand. So in this modern age of technology, we have things like cell phones and iPads. And we even have computers that have touchscreen sensibilities on them. And if you're the kind of person that likes touching the screen and moving things around with your finger, then maybe the headrush is the best option for you. Or if you're more of like a push and turn kind of guy, that you like turning physical knobs to navigate through all the different options, then maybe the Helix or Axe Effects or even a Kemper is a good option for you. And if you've been keeping up with the NAMM show and recent developments in technology, then you know that Neural DSP just came out with the Quad Cortex that has touchscreen, and the switches are turn dials. So you can use those switches to change parameters on whatever amp or effect that you have called up on the screen. So they kind of meshed, you know, the best of the headrush and the best of the Helix and other push and turn style maulers and put it all into one unit. And if that's something that you like, then the Quad Cortex may very well be the unit that is best for you. So when it comes down to workflow, you want to make sure you get to everything nice and easy, and you can touch the screen, you can turn the knob. So that way, if you're in the middle of a gig or a recording session and you need to change something very quickly, then all you have to do is just turn a few knobs, swipe your finger across the screen a few times, and you got the sound that you want for maybe the perfect guitar part, or just something's not sounding quite right in the middle of a gig. You need to adjust something because you hear either too much bass or too much high end, or you need more gain on your amp, or whatever you think the situation calls for. And third, we're going to talk about price point. So in these days of digital modeling, you get a lot of value for buying a digital unit because you have all the amps, all the cabs, all the effects you probably ever want. And when they come out with a new update, they're just going to keep giving it to you for free. So if you are looking for a certain sound, you more than likely don't have to go out and buy another pedal because you already have that sound inside your digital modeler, and you've only had to pay one time for that. Now, as far as price ranges go, I know the Headrush and maybe the Boss, they're around that $8,000 range. Your Helix and Kemper is going to be around $1,500 to say $1,800 range. And you can even throw in the Quad Cortex into that group as well, because their starting price is going to be around $1,599. But it's not going to be released till this next September, so you're going to have to wait a little bit for that. And even when you start getting into Axe effects, you could be going into $1,800 to $2,200 range, just depending on their pricing structure at the moment. So that's one thing you have to consider is, well, I really like the Helix, but can I afford the Helix or the Kemper? Let's say you only had $1,000 and you wanted to use that money to invest in a good unit and also maybe an FR speaker. Well, there's only so many units that fall into that price range, and it's not bad. If that's all you can afford, then just buy it and then enjoy it the rest of your life. You don't have to worry about, oh, I spent this money, but maybe I should have bought the Helix because all these other people are using the Helix. Just buy something that's comfortable in your price range and just be happy with it. Don't worry about the greener grass on the other side of the fence. Just use what you have, learn how to use it properly, and you should get years of great experience out of that unit. And that brings me to my next point. You're always going to be tempted to look and see what the competition is doing. Or maybe you show up to a gig and the other guy has a Helix but you have a Headrush, or one guy has an Axe Effects but another guy has a Kemper. All of you should be able to get up on stage and dial in your tones. Everyone should just be worried about playing music and not really about the tools that you have chosen to make that music with. Now, if it's an issue where maybe your unit keeps breaking down, it's not working properly, then I can understand that. But really across the board, all the digital modelers these days can get great tones. You can get all your Fender sounds, all your Marshall sounds, all your Mesa Boogie and maybe Saldano, and it's really just up to you to find the sound that you like and then just go with it. You don't have to worry about what other people are doing, and just enjoy the process of creating the sounds and making the music that you feel you want to make. And another point is the difference between modeling and actual profiling. Some people say that profiling is superior to modeling because it's very hard to get the actual models correctly, versus when you profile something, you're just capturing that sound very much like the Kemper, or maybe quite possibly the Quad Cortex if they do what they say they're going to do. But I find that most modelers sound pretty good when you put them into a full mix, and it's very hard to distinguish between a real amp and the model of that real amp. And at some point you just have to decide, is it worth the extra money to keep up with tube amps, with having all these different pedals on your pedal board? Or do you want to just invest in a good modeler that can get a variety of different sounds, and more than likely it's going to sound pretty good in the band mix anyways. So I wouldn't worry about chasing the difference between the real amp and the mauler versus the profiler. They're all going to do very, very similar things, and you can get great sounds out of any one of them. So after saying all of that, it really does just come down to personal preference, and whatever you feel is the best for your situation, then that's the one that you should go with. If you have a buddy that has a Helix and you really like the way that he uses his, and you want to try and mimic that, then go ahead and buy a Helix. If you like the Headrush or the Axe-Fx or Kemper or even the Quad Cortex, which isn't even out yet, then just go with the one that you feel is the best for your situation and just be done with it. Don't worry about the next big thing that might be coming out next year or whatever else. Because at the end of the day, it's all about the music you make and not necessarily about the tools that you use to make it. If you want to help support the channel, there's a few different ways of doing that. So I encourage you to follow the links down below. You can buy something off of Amazon, which has affiliate links that I get a little bit of a kickback every time you purchase something. And there's also a members area of my website where you can access all types of content like music, gear, and recording for either a monthly subscription or a one-time payment. And also, if you want to save some money on your cell phone bill this year, check out the Mint Mobile link I have in the description as well. And you can have a free 7-day trial. And when you sign up for Mint Mobile, you get a little bit of money and I get a little bit of money. So that's another way to support me as well. So I am Dr. McFarland. I will see you in the next video. Keep rocking.